Hurricane season in the Bahamas ends in November, and in December the temperature averages 79 degrees, with less than 1 inch of rain following throughout the month. Coming to Long Island during the wintertime is the perfect occasion to participate in a program with St. Paul's Fellowship of Labor. SPFL is building a church for the local Orthodox community. The church sits on 1 1/4 acre of land, a little over the size of a professional rugby field. The organization was conceived in the winter of 2005 and was founded in 2006 as a registered 501c3. In the past 7 years of operations, SPFL has expanded to 6 countries around the world. By December of 2012, the non-profit was completing its 6th program to the Bahamas. The day starts with a walk to the work site, and volunteers enjoy a chance to chat along the way. It's an opportunity to warm up the muscles before an abbreviated workday. And what really makes an SPFL program so special are its volunteers, their stories, and their perspectives. Nectarios is Canadian. His parents were born in Greece and moved to Canada for opportunity. Nectarios is an electrician now, living in Canada. However, in an effort to gain mastery in the Greek language, Nectarios, a Canadian citizen, joined the Greek army. While having an electrician on the island can be very useful, this year's project required more carpentry work, and Nectarios pulled through just as well. To pour concrete, you need 3 ingredients: sand, lime, and porter. The day begins with unloading sand to be mixed either by hand or by a modest cement mixer available to the island. Every year is a new mix of laborers, some skilled and others ready to learn. Paul has spent the last 4 years studying marine biology, and during his summers he worked as a stonemason. He now applies his skill in working with cement block and stone for the Church of St. Spiridon. The concrete block is covered in mortar, and that covering must be sealed with a thick layer of paint. Every square inch of the church will be painted, with this sealant to protect the church over the years from the harm of insects, the sun, and the sand. George is an American, works as a salesman for a manufacturing company, and took the program as an opportunity to spend some much-needed time with his son. The inside of the church is also painted, so that someday Orthodox icons can be painted in the Byzantine style on the walls of the church. The lead foreman on this trip is an American. Peter Master John is Orthodox and a skilled carpenter. His skill in working with wood and managing crews will prove invaluable to the success of the program. He might be limited in tools, but not in creativity, as he builds shutters and a means to keep them open.
Oh, I love it.
Dmitri works hard painting the shutters that will eventually be fastened to the windows. Winds of a hurricane can top 140 miles per hour in the Bahamas. The shutters will protect the church from the hurricanes.
My name is Dmitri Majerius. I am from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I'm 24 years old and I am back home in Toronto. I am a school teacher, grades kindergarten through grade 6. Just being here is a highlight in itself. I guess the coconut football game was a lot of fun. But I guess the biggest highlight was getting away from just the hustle and bustle of a big city life in Toronto. You tend to overemphasize the concept of time here, and I didn't even bring a watch here because I didn't even want to know what time it was. So just being here and seeing how simple everything is and how just slowing everything down and putting things into perspective has been a huge highlight.
One of the most important elements of an Orthodox church is its altar. After nearly a week's worth of work, the floor of the altar is constructed, and the iconostasis, or icon wall, begins to take form.
I'm Peter Master John. I'm from the parish of St. John the Confessor in Ipswich, Massachusetts. And I do carpentry work and chant in the St. John's Church. So now I'm down here in the Bahamas in Long Island. So we've taken on a very aggressive project of trying to finish the Church of St. Spiridon. We have front doors that we've installed to be finished completely. We have windows, frames out, and screening going in. We have Bahamas shutters going on to protect it from the environments. We've assembled a complete, soon-to-be complete iconostats and veneered it in nice cherry and oak woods. Built holy tables, prospermia tables, candle stands, and many other projects, including finishing a bunch of cement work outside, adding steps.
Outside, crews clear land with machetes. Father Christos is the program's priest. Here he serves the spiritual needs of the volunteers. And back in the United States of America, he is an eye surgeon.
I'm the priest from Pillars Orthodox Church in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. And I'm here as the priest for this trip to serve our liturgies and vigils and vespers, etc. And I'm just enjoying being of any assistance I can for any spiritual issues that come up, confessions and special prayers, blessings of meals and instruction, catechism, whatever I can do.
In a typical day of the program, volunteers work 4 hours in the morning, break for lunch, and then work another 2 hours in the early afternoon. By the time work is over for the day, participants are ready to take their afternoon swim and relax after making their mark on the history of this little church of Long Island. Back at the lodge, a crew of volunteers prepares potatoes for the evening meal.
The Indian kitchen here, that's great. Good commentary, I really like that. Our viewers really appreciate how to use potatoes in over 100,000 different ways.
During this program, most meals consist of fish, shellfish, and vegetables. The trip is not only an opportunity to get away from the sedentary ways of modern life, but also a chance to leave unhealthy foods behind. While most volunteers are meeting each other for the first time, it feels like a family, a reunion of friends that has been waiting a long time to finally convene. And so the night continues. On this particular evening, Katina Petitsis, a prolific writer and singer of Christian folk music, performs for the volunteers. Music is what she did between raising a family. She is the mother of 5 sons and is a grandmother to 3 grandchildren. This is her first time on an SPFL program. Jacek was born in Poland, and he now lives in the United States. He is tired after a long day of beaching. To say the least, there is a space for everyone on an SPFL program. This is the Church of St. Spiridon. It was finished just in time for a Saturday night service to be held on New Year's Eve. In preparation for the evening vigil, candle boxes were constructed and filled with sand to allow the burning of natural beeswax candles to continue throughout the night. The candles are lit, the incense burns, and the chanting fills the room. The music heard is a modified version of Byzantine chant, a style of chant used by the Orthodox Church for over 1,000 years. A melody is heard and then supported by an ison, an undertone produced by the human voice. Father Christos first blesses the icons and turns to bless the people. This series of blessings will be repeated throughout the night, and so the vigil continues, and time stops as hymns are chanted and readings of the Old and New Testament are read. Long Island, Bahamas is an island in the Caribbean. The Atlantic Ocean borders its eastern side, and the Caribbean Sea rests on its eastern coastline. The island is inhabited by just 3,000 permanent residents, and with 173 square miles of island to share, there's plenty of beach to go around. On this particular day, the Mealis family, permanent residents of Long Island, and natives to the Bahamas, graciously offered to take the SPFL volunteers for a day of boating and beaching. They departed from Clarencetown Harbor on the Conquest, a boat used for charters, deep-sea fishing, and treasure hunting. The group anchors off the coast of Salt Pond Key and enjoys the blue waters and white sands of the area. The temperature of the water is about 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Natives of the Bahamas think the water is a little too cold, but for SPFL volunteers, it was the perfect temperature.
My name is Anicia Bagdonis, right? And I found out about SPFL through my brother. He went on the first Bahamas Long Island trip, and then my friend Salome convinced me to come a few years ago, and this is my third trip now. And I mean, highlights of the trip, just around. It's beautiful, and you just get a really good experience building a church with your own hands, seeing how like everything comes together. It makes you think about the services of it differently, because you see like everything like with God's help you made. So it's really amazing. And just the people, I love them.
Dr. William Lightfoot, Dean of Brenau University's College of Business and Mass Communication, journeyed with SPFL this year. He traveled from Georgia with his daughter.
And so it's been really interesting and unique for me and my daughter to participate in, for us, we stayed for a little over 3.5 hours, but in a long service, a very memorable service, just beautiful in this new chapel that we all had a hand in putting together. And that will stay with me forever. And just the chanting and the music and the sermon and being there with people that I've come to care about and come to learn about, just in some cases over several years, and other cases just more recently, in such a gorgeous, pristine, and relatively untouched place is certainly the highlight of my trip.
Walks on the beach following the workday are a must. The sand is sugar white, and Clarencetown Harbor is a beautiful place, with sandbars and warm creeks filled with turtles and rare fish.
I live in Minneapolis right now, in Minnesota, but I'm originally from the country of Georgia, over in Eastern Europe. I immigrated to the United States in the year 2000, and currently I go to college at the University of St. Thomas, and I'm a third-year student there, majoring in neuroscience, and it's my 4th time coming to the Bahamas, so I'm a bit of a veteran for this trip. Well, I think the biggest difference is exactly that it's not built up to be this, man-made, almost synthetic kind of tourist attraction. It's a very organic experience of what island life is really like. And I think that's what's, especially personally to me, but I think to a lot of people is really attractive, is that you don't have all these people trying to sell you stuff, sell you the island or anything like that. It's, here's the island, here's what life is really like on the island, and go out and live it. So I think more than anything, that's what's really interactive and cool about this experience.
This is the most famous blue hole in the world. It is called Dean's Blue Hole. It was formed when a pocket of gas from below the ocean floor burst, and afterwards filled with seawater. This one drops over 600 feet, just a few yards from the beach. It is a beautiful place, and this puts Long Island, Bahamas on the map for the world. St. Paul's Fellowship of Labor continues to bring volunteers of all ages, cultures, and religions for a 2-week program of service work, retreat, fellowship, and Orthodox prayer services to Long Island, Bahamas. It is a journey to a place of beauty, pristine nature, and world-famous sights. But volunteers won't just travel to see what is there. They will actively give back to communities and form bonds to an island and its people. These are memories which will last a lifetime, built in an atmosphere of friendship and tranquility. It is what SPFL likes to call productive rejuvenation.